All right, so picture this. It's Monday morning.
Oh,
The alarm goes off, and it's just like
I feel that.
you drag yourself to the office, and your inbox is already overflowing. Like, seriously, who sends emails at 3 a.m.?
Right. It's like they never sleep.
And to top it all off, the coffee machine is broken.
The worst.
And just when you think things can't get any worse, your boss strolls by and casually drops a tiny little urgent request on you.
Ugh.
You know that feeling, right? The one where you just want to scream into the void.
Been there. More times than I care to admit, honestly.
Well, you're definitely not alone. And that's exactly why we're diving deep today into stress management, specifically in the workplace.
Because let's face it, work can be stressful.
It really can be.
Yeah.
And we're not just talking about a little bit of pressure here and there. We're talking about the kind of stress that can seriously impact your health, your happiness, and your ability to, actually function.
Exactly. And the crazy thing is, it's so common. Like, did you know that nearly 80% of Americans report experiencing work-related stress?
80%. That's wild.
It is. So chances are, if you're listening to this, you've probably felt the burn of workplace stress at some point.
And that's why this deep dive is so important. We're going to break down those common workplace stressors that are probably making you want to pull your hair out. And then we're going to give you some practical strategies, some tools you can actually use to manage that stress and reclaim your sanity.
Yeah, we're talking quick fixes for those in-the-moment meltdowns.
But also long-term strategies for building up your resilience so you're not just surviving, but actually thriving.
Because, let's be real, no one wants to spend their entire career feeling like they're on the verge of a breakdown.
Right. So first things first, let's talk about those pesky workplace stressors. The things that are pushing our buttons and turning our workplaces into pressure cookers.
Okay, so where do we even start?
Well, I think a big one for a lot of people is deadlines. Those tight, impossible deadlines that make you feel like you're constantly playing catch-up.
Oh, absolutely. The I need this yesterday kind of deadlines.
Exactly. And it's like, do these people not understand that time is a linear concept?
Yeah.
We can't just magically make things happen faster.
Right. It's not like we have time machines or anything.
And then there's the workload.
Yeah.
The sheer volume of work that we're all expected to handle these days.
Oh, yeah. The never-ending to-do lists.
It's like we're all trying to drink from a fire hose, and it's just impossible to keep up.
And then, of course, there's the whole office politics thing.
Oh, don't even get me started. The gossip, the backstabbing, the passive-aggressive emails, it's exhausting.
It really is. And it's like, you're not just dealing with your actual work, you're also dealing with all this interpersonal drama.
It's like a whole other job on top of your actual job.
Absolutely. And it can be incredibly draining.
Okay, so we've identified the enemy. Now let's talk about how to fight back. What are some quick and dirty stress management techniques that people can use in the moment when they're feeling overwhelmed?
All right, so let's say you're sitting at your desk, you're staring at this mountain of work, and you're starting to feel that familiar tightness in your chest.
Yeah, like your head is about to explode.
Exactly. So what's the first thing you should do? Breathe.
Breathe. Really, it's that simple.
Seriously, it sounds kind of cheesy, I know, but taking a few deep breaths can actually do wonders for calming your nervous system.
Okay, walk me through it. How exactly should I breathe?
So find a comfortable position, close your eyes if you can, and just focus on your breath. Inhale slowly and deeply through your nose, filling your lungs all the way up. Hold that breath for a few seconds, and then exhale slowly and completely through your mouth. And just repeat that a few times. Even just a minute or two of deep breathing can make a huge difference.
And this actually works.
It really does. It's like hitting the reset button on your stress response.
Okay, I'm willing to try it. What else?
Another thing you can do is prioritize and focus. So instead of trying to tackle everything at once, which can feel incredibly overwhelming, pick one or two things that are the most urgent or most important and just focus on those.
So like make a list and then just laser in on the top items.
Exactly. And the key here is to break down those big, scary tasks into smaller, more manageable chunks. It's much easier to stay motivated and focused when you're working on something that feels achievable.
That makes sense. And I imagine that feeling of accomplishment, even from completing a small task, can help to reduce stress as well.
Absolutely. It's all about those little wins.
Okay, so deep breathing and prioritizing. Got it. What else can we do to fight the stress monster?
Well, another really important strategy is taking breaks.
Breaks. But I have so much work to do.
I know. But trust me, taking regular breaks will actually make you more productive in the long run.
Okay, I'm listening.
So the idea is to step away from your work for a few minutes every hour or so. Get up, stretch, walk around, grab a drink of water, maybe chat with a colleague. Anything that helps you to clear your head and recharge your batteries.
So it's not just about being lazy. It's about being strategic with your energy.
Exactly. It's like giving your brain a little pit stop.
Okay, I can get behind that. What about longer-term strategies for managing stress? Things we can do to build up our resilience over time.
Yeah, so one of the most powerful things you can do is work on reframing your thoughts.
Reframing my thoughts, what does that even mean?
So it's basically about catching those negative, stressful thoughts that pop up in your head and then consciously choosing to reframe them in a more positive or at least more neutral light.
Okay, give me an example.
So let's say you're faced with a really challenging project and your immediate thought is, this is impossible, I'm going to fail. That's a pretty stressful thought, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So instead of dwelling on that thought, try reframing it as, okay, this is going to be tough, but I'm going to break it down into smaller steps, and I'm going to take it one day at a time.
So it's about shifting your perspective from, I can't do this, to, I can figure this out.
Exactly. And the more you practice reframing your thoughts, the more automatic it will become, and that can have a huge impact on your overall stress levels.
That's pretty cool. What else can we do to build up our resilience?
Another really important thing is setting boundaries.
Boundaries, like with my coworkers.
With your coworkers, with your boss, with yourself. It's about recognizing your limits and communicating those limits clearly to others.
So like saying no to taking on extra work when you're already feeling overwhelmed.
Exactly. Or setting aside specific times for work and for personal time and sticking to those boundaries as much as possible.
And it's okay to do that, like to say no to your boss.
It is absolutely okay to do that. In fact, it's essential for your well-being. And believe it or not, most bosses will actually respect you more for setting clear boundaries.
Huh. I never thought of it that way.
And remember, taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's actually the best way to ensure that you can show up as your best self at work.
Right. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
Okay, and I know you mentioned this earlier, but I think it's worth repeating. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Oh, absolutely. This is huge.
It's so easy to feel like we have to handle everything ourselves, especially in a competitive work environment.
Right. It's like we're all supposed to be these superhuman, always-on machines.
But the truth is, we all need help sometimes. And there's absolutely no shame in asking for it.
Exactly. Whether it's talking to a trusted colleague, seeking support from your manager, or reaching out to professional resources like an EAP, there are people who can help you navigate those tough times.
And sometimes just talking about what's stressing you out can make a world of difference.
Absolutely. It's like letting off some steam.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about the common stressors that are making our workplaces feel like war zones, and we've given you some practical tools for managing those stressors, both in the moment and over the long term.
Yeah, we've thrown a lot of information at you.
We have. But I think the key takeaway here is that you don't have to be a victim of workplace stress. There are things you can do, starting today, to take control of your well-being and create a more positive and productive work experience for yourself.
Absolutely. And it doesn't have to be overwhelming. Even small changes can make a big difference.
So to wrap things up, let's do a little thought experiment. Imagine you're back in that Monday morning scenario we talked about earlier. You're already feeling stressed, and then your boss dumps a huge urgent project on your desk. What do?
Okay, so let's lay out some options here. What are some different ways you could respond?
Option A, you panic, you try to do everything at once, you stay up all night working, and you basically turn into a caffeine-fueled zombie.
Not ideal.
Option B, you take a deep breath, you prioritize your tasks, you communicate with your boss about realistic deadlines and expectations, and you focus on doing your best work without sacrificing your sanity.
Much better.
And then there's option C. You pretend you didn't see the email, you slip out of the office early, and you hope for a miracle.
Let's maybe avoid that one.
I think we can all agree that option B is the way to go. It's about being proactive, taking control of the situation, and taking care of yourself in the process.
Exactly. It's about using the tools and strategies we've talked about to navigate those stressful situations in a healthy and productive way.
So as you go about your week, I want you to challenge yourself to try just one of the things we've talked about today. Maybe it's taking a few deep breaths when you're feeling overwhelmed. Maybe it's setting some clear boundaries around your work hours. Or maybe it's reaching out to a colleague for support.
Whatever it is, just commit to trying one small thing and see how it makes you feel.
Because even small changes can have a ripple effect. And who knows, maybe those small changes will lead to some pretty big positive shifts in your work life and your overall well-being.
And that's something worth striving for, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. All right, that's it for our deep dive today. Until next time, take care of yourselves. And remember, you've got this.
You do. We believe in you.